Oh, hello there. I'm Dan Rather, and today is Tuesday, December 31st, 1968. This is a special edition of ENN Tonight, where we will recap, three major national news events, two sporting events, a major world news event, two Houston area news events, a hit film, a new fad fashion, and a famous personality from the past year. But first, let's go to Asian reporter Tricia Takanawa with news from the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Tricia?
Thanks, Dan. I'm here at the International Amphitheater in Chicago, Illinois, home of the 1968 Democratic National Convention from August 26th to the 29th. Because Democratic President Lyndon Johnson had announced that he would not seek a second term. The purpose of this convention was to select a new nominee for the Democratic Party's candidate for the office. The keynote speaker was Democrat from Hawaii, Daniel Ininono. However, 10,000 protesters gathered and stood in protest, chanting everything from "Hell no, we won't go" to "Pigs or whores." The crowd pelted the police with food, rocks, bags of urine, and concrete. Long story short, thousands of protesters were tear-gassed and beaten, all on national television, as the crowd yelled, "The world is watching." That was earlier today here in Chicago. Back to you in the studio, Dan.
Thank you for that, Tricia. Another noteworthy event this year was the election of Republican Richard Nixon to the presidency. Nixon said in his acceptance speech, "It's time for new leadership for the United States of America." Couldn't agree more, Dick. On a sadder note, April 4th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee by James Earl Ray. Dr. King had been on the forefront of the nonviolent crusade to obtain civil rights for black Americans. Dr. King became also famous by leading the Million Man March and the deliverance of his "I Have a Dream" speech. He was then hated by many, loved by more, and respected by all. Thank you for your work, Dr. King. Switching to sports, let's go down to Keith Jackson at the Mexico City Summer Olympics. Keith?
Thanks, Dan. I'm down here at the Mexico City Summer Olympic Games, where African-American sprinters Tommie Smith and John Carlos won gold and bronze medals. And then they bowed their heads and raised clenched fists during the playing of the U.S. national anthem. Let's go down to footage of that. And what you just saw was Tommie Smith raising his hand and bowing his head at the singing of the national anthem because of an anti-racial protest. And the actual medal was revoked, and I have it here and here. However, their names will remain in the record books forever. Back to you in the studio, Dan.
Thanks, Keith. 5 years after Eunice Kennedy Shriver had started a summer day camp for children and adults with intellectual disabilities at her home in Maryland, she saw her dream become reality this year in Chicago at the first International Special Olympics Summer Games on July 20th, 1968, together with the Chicago Park District. The Kennedy Foundation hosted the competition, which included 1,000 athletes with intellectual disabilities from 26 states and Canada, competing in athletics, floor hockey, and aquatics. Switching to fashion, many of you men probably noticed that when you came home, your wives were wearing less clothes. Well, this year, many dressmakers like Ship and Shop, Ship and Shore, and Sears were forced to evolve their styles to meet the needs of the 1968 woman. Their sleeves were taken in and their hemlines were shortened. Thank you, Mr. Sears. Okay. To culture. Famous personality Jimi Hendrix was not only known for his music this year, but also he is widely known for and associated with the use of psychedelic drugs, most notably LSD. He supposedly had never taken psychedelic drugs until the night he met Linda Keith, where he smoked cannabis and drank alcohol previously. Hendrix was notorious for smoking crack and sometimes becoming angry and violent when he drank too much alcohol. Kathleen Etchman spoke of this incident that took place in a London pub in which an intoxicated Jimi Hendrix beat her with a public telephone headset.
Jimmy saw that crack cocaine, he beat...
Tragic, just tragic. Alcohol was also cited as the cause for Hendricks' rampage that badly damaged a Stockholm hotel room and led to his arrest. So Hendricks had a bad 1968, if you feel me. March 31st, President Lyndon Johnson orders an end to the bombing of North Vietnam, roughly 3 months after the 10,000th U.S. airplane was lost over Vietnam. Let's go down to your local newscasters for highlights this past year in your area.
Hello everyone, I'm Dave Ward. Earlier this year, in April, NASA launched Apollo 6, and later in October, NASA launched Apollo 7. So apparently, Houston does not have a problem. Back to you, Dan.
Alright, thank you, Dave. Now, the moment you have all been waiting for. We here at CNN give Picture of the Year to Night of the Living Dead, directed by George Romero and released October 1st. Great movie, classic. As you can see the trophy here, it's quite large. Quite large. Yes. Mr. Burgundy. Alright, now we here at CNN would like to thank you for stopping by and making us a part of your classy home. Let's go down to New York for the dropping of the ball ceremony. Have a great New Year. Your mother's a dirty whore. You're a dirty whore.